Vickie Jeffries, Omikaklese wa Occaneechi Saponi wa Takai, Watima, Graham, North Carolina. My name is Vickie Jeffries, and I'm Occaneechi Saponi, and I live in Graham, North Carolina. You are welcome here today. Today we'll be making a chicken bake. This is actually one of my mom's favorite recipes. She had to feed 11 kids, so she would always come up with some type of recipe that was very economical to make, didn't take a lot of money, but will fill us up. Today to make this chicken bake, our ingredients will be noodles, cream of mushroom soup, butter, canned chicken, milk, salt and pepper to taste, and we'll be adding pokeweed. And this recipe is, after it's mixed, it's cooked at 375, so set your oven before at 375. I just want to mention a little information about the poke salad. When you are using the poke salad, after you pick it, you need to blanch it at least twice. So you will boil it first and let it boil, and then you will rinse it in cold water. You will squeeze it out, put it back into the hot water and boil it again, and then squeeze it out to get that moisture. And then it's ready to be used. And make sure that you have your pot boiling for your noodles ready, and to just make everything go kind of smoothly. So the first thing that we will need to do is we're going to take our noodles and we're going to go ahead and get those boiling. And I already have the water boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and put the egg noodles in. And they don't need to boil for a long time, because egg noodles cook really fast. And in the meantime, while they're boiling, we're going to go ahead and chop up the poke salad so we can have that ready. So we're just going to chop up in little pieces to go into the chicken bake. Be careful, don't cut your fingers. And poke salad is packed with a lot of nutrients, but it's a nice addition to like casserole bakes and gives it that nice little extra flavor. I am substituting the poke salad for peas, which my mom used in her original recipe. So we're substituting about 2 cups of frozen peas for the poke salad. And you don't need as much peas as you would need poke salad because it kind of goes through. So that looks like it's really chopped up there good, if you notice that. We're going to move it over to a smaller plate and set that aside. So nice and green and full of vitamins, and we're just going to lay it right here. So I'm going to check on the pasta to see how that's doing. And I just want to mention, you don't want to cook the noodles till they're really get cakey, so you have to watch that, because I know you don't want to overcook your noodles because you are going to be baking this. And I always just take one and put it on the counter, and I just kind of poke it to see, you know, the texture of it. It's like making sure that it's not hard and it's not really starchy, so it doesn't feel like that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to mix everything into this casserole dish. So I'm going to put the noodles in there now. I'm actually going to strain them with a strainer. Just make sure that you get that water off. But I kind of like this because I get most of the water off of the noodles by using a smaller strainer. And then when I get down to the bottom, I just take my spoon. So now that we have that all done, so we have our noodles. They're all cooked and ready. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of the canned chicken, because the thing that you want to do with the canned chicken is you want to rinse it. And I'm just going to rinse it in the can. I'm going to open the top a little bit just to let the water out, and I'm going to rinse it because canned chicken can be very salty. So you don't want to put all that extra salt. So the best thing to do is just to rinse it. And I'm trying very carefully. I don't know if I'm strong enough, but I think I am. And I'm just going to pour the water off because that's mostly where that salt is. And I'm just going to put a little bit of water in there. And then I'm going to just like use this as my strainer. And I just do it again. just to get some more of that salt off of there. Now that we've got the chicken, if you ever have not used canned chicken, this is what it looks like. It's all white meat. So I'm going to take my fork and I'm just going to kind of, you know, before I put it into there, it's going in there, I'm just kind of, you know, chopping it up a little bit like this with my fork, so it's not so big of pieces. And this can also be done once you put it into your casserole dish. And I'm using like 1 can of the canned chicken. And even when it's in here, like if you do that, you can still kind of do around with it and just kind of chop it up again. And I'm just making sure that I got all the big pieces kind of chopped up in here. So this is what we have so far. We have our noodles and our chicken. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little bit of butter in here. And this is a soft spread butter. And you just put like, yeah, I don't really use measuring things, so I'm saying like about a tablespoon. And kind of stir it around there because the noodles are nice and hot, so they're going to kind of melt the butter. All right, so now that we've mixed our noodles and our chicken and our butter, we're going to go ahead and get our mushroom soup. And we're going to be using 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. And this is low sodium because we're trying to stay away from a lot of salt. So you just take that and you just empty it into your casserole. Mix it, bake it, and you know, and you're good. And just make sure that it's cream of mushroom. So I'm going to take one of my larger spoons and just give it a little mix. And you have to be gentle with it, you know. Don't beat it. Just be really gentle just to fold it in. And the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and add our milk. I usually put about a cup, half a cup to a cup. So I'm going to do a cup of milk. And this is actually 1%. And I'm going to just kind of slowly, I'm not going to pour it in at one time. I'm going to kind of slowly put it in and then mix it a little bit so it gets, you know, mixed really well. And what you've probably already noticed is that mixing the mushroom soup with the milk is going to actually make it into a soup, a more like lighter soup. So we're just going to do that. And as I said, you kind of fold it over because you don't want to crush up your noodles and make them all mushy and stuff like that. So you don't want to eat anything like that. We're going to still do with this. And so we want to get some more milk in there just to get it saturated. And that should be good for the milk. And we're just going to add some pepper. And this is one thing that my mother always did. She always tasted it to see if she needed anything else in it. And you can put your pepper to your taste. You can add it or you don't have to add it. That's up to you. If you actually had a different spice you wanted to put in there, that would be okay. And before, or the reason I'm saying that she would taste it, like before I add the salt and the rest of the ingredients, I'm just gonna taste that a little bit. And I'm gonna take a fork and just stick it here on the side. And I won't put the fork back in there. Oops, we don't want that, do we? That is not to eat. But, you know, that happens when you're cooking, and that means it's really good. If that ever happens, you know you're just going to be superb. So I'm going to put a little bit of salt in it. I'm not eating raw food. Everything has been cooked. The noodles, the canned chicken was cooked, and the mushroom soup is just, you know, like it's just poured in here, and it's also cooked because you only really heat up your mushroom soup when you're eating it like that. But everything is cooked, so I'm not eating raw food. So I put a little salt in there, and I said you don't want to over salt it. And now the last ingredient is going to be the poke salad. So we're just going to fold the poke salad in. Oh, that looks really pretty with the poke salad on it. Don't you love when a dish comes out and it's looking pretty? And once again, we're just going to fold it into your casserole. The reason I say that is that you know, like as you fold it in, some things when you do, you just don't want to like beat them in and just really be gentle with your food. So your food will be gentle with you. But a lot of times, you know, like when my grandma used to cook, and you know, like if you didn't want to eat what she was cooking, she would always pat you on the shoulder and said, you know, it's going to taste real good in an hour, because she knew by an hour you're going to be hungry. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put some foil over it and just put it in the oven for just probably like about 20 minutes, and just let it kind of bake through. And probably like 15 minutes, you can take the foil off and just let it get like a little brown top on it. So that will be the last step for this. So we're going to put this into the oven at 375 and let it bake. At about 15 or 20 minutes, I took the top off of it. But the way that we know it's done, it starts boiling on the side. And my mother always told me, when I see it like popping up like that, we know it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and get it out the oven. I got my pot holders on, so make sure you got them on. Everything has sort of gelled together, and you can see it's sizzling around the top there. And it has the best smell, you know, brings me back to those memories when she would pop it out the oven. And you can just smell all the ingredients in there. And this is a really hearty meal. You won't even need a lot of it, but if you think about it, you have like your vegetable, you have your starch food in here, you got your mushroom soup, you got your milk. So you have all this in one dish. And if you want to make this a day ahead of time and put it in your refrigerator, and then when you come home from work, just pop it in the oven for like 20 to 25 minutes and you're all set. And that's the chicken casserole. And thank you so much for being here and learning how to make a quick and easy, nutritious dish.